Good morning, friends. Welcome to Here I Stand. We're talking COVID, Canada, and Chicago. Just to put some words that all start with the same letter together. And there is a lot that these things have in common, the good and the bad in our state and even across the world here. I'm Pastor Calvin Lindstrom, joined as always by Pastor James Pittman, New Hope Community Church in Palatine, Church of Christian Liberty here in Arlington Heights, Illinois. We would welcome you to join us for a service if you're not already part of a faithful local church that's preaching the gospel, that's seeking also to stand for freedom. We would invite you to join us for a service. Our services are not political rallies. They are the proclamation of the gospel, the lordship of Jesus Christ. But as that does extend to political matters, then we are seeking to preach God's truth and live God's truth. James, sometime we're going to deal with the column written by Megan Basham, I think is her name, on how major evangelical leaders were basically trumpeting the party line. I don't know if you saw that column, but
I saw that. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I would love to deal with that. Maybe next week we can focus on that issue. But anyway,
Yep.
James, you ever been to Canada?
Never
been to Canada. I've been there once. Visited Montreal and Quebec many years ago on a family vacation when we were in Vermont. We decided let's head north and check out Canada. So it's
I've seen it once.
You've seen
when
it?
I was in Buffalo, I've seen it. Okay.
like Sarah Palin seen Russia, right?
Yeah.
It's the second largest country in the world, America's hat, and not sadly, when you think of Canada, you think of not a place of great freedom, right?
No,
and pastors, a number of pastors, and I would love to get one interviewed, but a number of pastors have gone through significant challenge through the COVID season in Canada. So it's somewhat surprising then to see Canada really sparking a backlash. There were a number of ministers in the summer, but now this is the truckers' rally that has been making not only news, but creating other movements or encouraging other movements in places like France and I'm sure other countries, including our own. So, James, you've done a little more thought and conversation on this, even with some in your own church. Tell me what's going on from your perspective in Canada.
Well, in Canada, what happened was Trudeau continued with his government overreach and passed a policy to whereas if you were not vaccinated and you crossed over the U.S. line, which usually, if you're going from the westernmost part of Canada to the easternmost part of Canada, what truckers would do because the roads are better is they would dip down into the U.S., drive across the U.S., then go back into Canada, whether through Detroit or Buffalo.
Okay.
Well, Trudeau said if you didn't have a vaccine, then when you cross back over into Canada, you had to quarantine for 5 days. In the truck, you had to quarantine for 5 days.
Okay.
So the truckers said, we can't make a living that way. We can't do that. And so they just kept going, the government overreach. And so that's when the truckers said, we've had enough. We've had enough with this government overreach. Now, there's something. So they all went into they're all in the capital city. And originally it was to stop the mandates. But now I think there's some talk in saying that, no, forget the mandates. You need to resign.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to be there until Trudeau resigns, if in fact that's their position, that might be an overreach. I just,
yeah,
that's tough. That's tough.
Now, some provinces in Canada have dropped the mandates, correct, James?
Maybe, and I don't know what mandates on the local level they did, but Trudeau, being the PM,
Right.
controls the policy as it pertains to the border.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
that's
it's
what.
okay. That's a good distinction. It's like, okay, a governor in our own state or in our own nation could do something, but that, Biden
Yeah,
has overreach in terms of federal policies. So even
right.
though some concessions have been granted, it's not the it that that's not sufficient, is what you're saying, in terms of what these
Not
truckers are wanting.
truckers specifically with their trade
Yeah.
being able to go across the U.S. border when best suits them,
Mm-hmm. No,
or
that
they
makes
have a.
sense.
I'm assuming even if they have to go to the U.S. for delivery, you know,
Yeah.
he's making it very very hard, and his response to all that is get vaccinated,
Mm-hmm. Right.
just
Yeah. No,
obey,
that's. Mm-hmm.
just obey,
Yeah.
just obey.
Now, what's your take on the fact that, oh, they've seen some Nazi flags or Confederate flags in this protest?
Whatever. I'm not. We're not sure. We're not sure who has the Nazi flags. We're not
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
We're not sure at all. Do you put it past the left to have one or two flags to somehow paint the whole group? Now, granted, Calvin, if they had 100 trucks coming down the road, and all 100 of them had the Nazi flag, now we have an issue.
Right.
But for my thing is, it was just here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just here and there. But here's why I think um, I do want to play this one video.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the Spartacus moment. To whereas the truckers had people bringing them because it's cold up there,
Mm-hmm.
bringing them gas. I don't know. Did you hear about this story here? Bringing them gas, and so the authority says you cannot
Yeah.
bring these truckers gas, and they forbade them to do that. And they said if we catch you walking in the streets with gas cans to the truckers, we will confiscate them and we will somehow hold you accountable, whether it's prosecution or whatever. Did you see the story? Did you see the story?
I heard about some of this, but no, I'm not familiar with the whole thing.
So let me show you. Let me show you how they responded. Let me share. Let me share the
Yep.
screen. Let me know when it's up.
Okay.
Is the
I'll
screen up?
let me add this.
This is how the Canadians responded.
Yep. Okay. Go for it.
This is how they responded. They all bought cans, Calvin. They all bought them. Look at them. Which one you gonna stop? They all bought them, Calvin.
That
That is
that
how they
was
responded.
that was genius.
That was genius.
Yep.
That is how they responded. And you know what? They messed up. So you had people who said, I'm not a trucker. I don't know how I can contribute. But when they said, do not bring them gas, the average citizen responded by buying gas cans.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it didn't have gas, walking around with them. So now the police don't know who to stop.
Mm-hmm. That was
Who do you
that
want to
was a
stop them
smart.
all?
Now,
That was very smart.
who
And you now
determines?
galvanized it. You galvanized the
Right.
movement.
Yeah. Who
You know?
determines you can't give? I mean,
Trudeau. Who was it? Was it Cicero? The more corrupt the government becomes, the more harsh their laws.
yeah.
Um, Trudeau is now. So here's what I say, and I think it runs hand in hand. You now have the cultural elites who have embraced this transgenderism, right?
Yeah.
So when you embrace this and you promote this, the average person now understands there's no such thing as truth. Because I don't care how much you bang the drum, people know there are male and females, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no third gender. But now, if you take away the most basic truth, you take away truth.
Mm-hmm.
What you take away is the ability to reason and to come
Yep.
to some sort of agreement.
Mhm.
So once you take away reason, once you have taken off the table reasonable discourse, what's left? There's only one thing left: brute force.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
right.
is where Trudeau
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's no longer even trying to make the case because it makes no. Calvin,
Mhm.
who's breaking laws? I can bring you gas if you're running low on gas. How is
Mhm.
that a crime?
Right.
It's not a crime, and they're not
Mhm.
even trying to explain it as a crime. Just do what we say.
Mhm.
Brute force. That's where we are, Calvin. And historically speaking, look at history. Look at history. Look at history.
Mhm.
There's only one way to defeat brute force. That's with force.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm afraid this is where he's taking Canada. This is where Canada is going.
Mhm.
And I was sent a flyer last night when we did a podcast on this that our truckers organization is supposed to start March 1st.
Hmm.
They're starting on the West Coast, I think LA, and they're going to DC.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. It'll be.
the globalist elite cannot allow this.
Mhm.
They can't allow this. Calvin, if you take, even if you take 10% of the truckers off the road,
Oh yeah.
25%, Calvin, if they dare get up to 40%,
Oh yeah.
you're going to see something. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong. But if food is not stocked and goods are not replenished on the shelves,
Yeah.
particularly food,
Mhm. Yeah.
what do you think is going to ensue?
Yeah. It's now how much have you heard how much has this affected goods and services or goods in Canada even?
You know what? That's a good question. I'm not even sure they would report that because Justin Trudeau yesterday went before Parliament and said Canadians have never been more united than we are now.
Wow.
Really? Really? I've got this video on my thing right. Really?
Yeah.
So there he's not going to, if the media is with him, they're not going to show the effects of this. It's
Right.
crippling. But some of the leaders already said this can't continue. Our economy will collapse.
Oh yeah. That's
It cannot continue.
yeah.
Well, if it's not, if that's the case, lift the band-aids. But see, that's not part of it. And so some, healthy debate amongst friends. Someone said he's going to cave, and I said I don't know if I believe that. I think trust Justin Trudeau and every globalist would rather burn their country to the ground
Mhm.
than cave.
Yeah.
And I think the Biden administration, if faced with this, they would rather burn the United States down than they give up power because you serfs need to know your place. We're your overlords, and you just need to obey.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we are right now, sad to say.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are. So
Mhm. Um yeah, no,
interesting time.
yeah, it is. And I believe there's even protests now in France that have been encouraged by here, let me see if I can
Oh, really?
yeah.
By the trucker?
Yep, exactly.
And if we were to dare do something like this in the United States, Calvin, that could spread to the whole world.
Mhm.
And the globalists cannot allow that.
Mhm.
Oh man.
So that's interesting. Normally we
Ah,
think of the US flag as a symbol of liberty, but in this case
isn't that
it's
something?
the
Canada.
Canadian flag.
They've stolen the spotlight.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
No, you're right. So Chicago, at least our uh, local lord, JB Pritzker said we're going to do away the masks in 2 weeks,
I
but
thought it
not
was
in the
today.
schools.
I thought it was today. It's not today, Thursday?
Oh no, no, no. Oh, that would be my. You got to follow the science, James. February 28th is when the science says the mask can come down.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay. I'm a
do you
mistake.
think
My
do you think
mistake.
that's is that electioneering? Is that he is feeling the heat of voters? What's your
I
what's
think
your
I
what's your
think he's
take on that?
feeling the heat. I think he's feeling the heat. I think if Illinois is stupid enough to fall for that, the day after if he wins a re-election, the day after he's going to put those masks right back on.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, please explain to us, King Pritzker, what is your rationale behind what you're doing? You realize he doesn't tell us.
Well,
The only thing
yeah.
he says is follow the science.
He says hospitalization rates have dropped, and
From
that's
what to what? From what to what? I don't. That's not. Have you been to a hospital recently? I haven't, but I've known people to go. There's a crisis in staffing in hospitals.
that no doubt,
There's a
yeah,
crisis
because they've
because
gotten rid
they've
of
gotten rid
workers,
of the
they've gotten rid of
nurses.
the nurses, yeah.
So any problems you have in the hospitals are is his making.
Mm-hmm.
His making.
Yeah.
Every hospital is short staffed because they've stuck to those mandates. And so,
Well, I would say even more the Biden mandate also, right? Because
yeah, Florida's not having this problem. Texas not having this problem.
um,
Oh, you're right. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
yeah, the OSHA
Texas.
mandate was ruled that it had applied to any healthcare worker that was getting federal aid, which is every hospital
Oh,
at that point.
you think so?
Oh yeah. If you're seeing what if you're seeing a Medicare patient, that's you're getting
Oh, yeah,
federal aid,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you would have to turn people away. You know, so
yeah, 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 yeah. But uh, does Florida's not following the OSHA mandate, is it?
James, that's an excellent question because technically the Supreme Court said they have to. They
That's right.
upheld
Oh my
the
goodness.
OSHA regulation. That's why a lot of conservatives were cheering. Oh yeah, we wanted the Supreme Court. And it was we won one game in the doubleheader, and we really lost an important game in the doubleheader. So yeah, I'm thankful for the one aspect, but anyway, that's James, that's a good question. What is happening um, in a place like Florida with that OSHA mandate in place? So
As far as hospitals here, I don't know. It comes to the point right now, Calvin. I don't even listen to the man because I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth. It's about raw power at this point, and that's fine. Just tell us what the hospitalizations are.
hmm
Tell us what's going on. You need more than just follow the science. The hospitalization rate has fallen. I just
right.
don't trust anything he
Oh
says at
no,
this
yeah.
point.
So going back to the question, do you think this is more the pressure or
Yes,
that there's an election
yes,
coming up?
yes. As soon as the election is over, the day after, he's going to say, "Up, the science says put it back on."
Okay, but I'm saying,
Um,
do you think he is losing his base even? Because he didn't care. People didn't like the mandates before, but as long as he had his base, he didn't care. Do you think he's losing? That's my question. Is he losing
uh,
some of the base? There have been a lot of parents going to school
Good
boards
question. Good question.
expressing their frustrations.
Possibly.
There is a movement
I,
of people, in a variety of ways who've said, you know what, enough is enough.
yeah,
You've crossed the
I'll
line.
say this. This one clip on Bill Maher, he had this liberal lady on, and I think she was a talk show host. I'm not sure. She was liberal, and she was talking on Bill Maher. She says, "Look, I was pro-vaccine. I was pro-mask, like all of us." And Bill Maher cut in and said, "I wasn't. That's not true.
hmm
I never was." But she went on. She said, "I'm a liberal. I was pro-vaccine. I was pro-mask." She says, and they told us all we had to do was get our shot, and it would return to normal.
hmm
She said they lied. She
Yeah.
said, "I am so done with COVID." And she said, "Most of my liberal friends are done with COVID,
hmm
but most of them are still afraid to say something."
Yeah.
But she said more and more people are starting to come out, and more people are starting to say, "We're done with COVID.
hmm
Stop it." So you talk about Bill Maher,
Yeah.
who I don't know, the left has been very upset with him recently.
Oh yeah.
But he's brought liberals on, and that that was a liberal saying, She's
Mm-hmm.
done, and most of her friends are done. So possibly,
Yeah.
possibly,
Well, I
they're
think New York. I think New York lifted some of the restrictions. Um, there are restaurant groups calling for Cook County to lift the vaccine requirements. We're going into Valentine's Day weekend and Super Bowl weekend, I guess, together, right? And
Mm.
there are restaurants who are really struggling. Now, I haven't heard any talk about that. What's going on? Will Chicago and Cook County feel the pressure, or are they going to continue? Um, yeah,
Calvin, if people are upset, angry, despondent, frustrated when it comes to November, he may lose. And if you put these things on, even in Chicago, now whoever wins the Republican uh, primary, which I hope is Bailey,
right. Mm-hmm.
they need to drive this home. How you feeling? How you doing?
Yeah,
You feel good?
right.
Have you felt good? Have you felt good the last 4 years with this clown in
Mm-hmm.
office?
Yep.
You know, and if too many people are upset, you know, he may lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Well,
in order for a Republican to win Illinois, you got to overcome the dead vote.
right.
So, you know,
Yeah. James, let me share something coming up next Thursday. This
yeah,
is the candidate forum. You and I are
yeah,
both going to be moderators in that.
yes,
We're hosting this at our church and school,
yeah,
502 West Euclid Avenue, Arlington Heights, Illinois. So join us starting at 7 for the U.S. Senate candidates, and then at 8 several Illinois governor candidates, and
yeah,
Tim Arview, Allison Salinas, and Bobby Pittman for Senate. Gary
yes.
Rabine, Max Solomon, Paul Schimpf, Darren Bailey may join virtually because he does have a job in Springfield. So
Yeah,
that's very understandable. Um,
sure.
so anyway, that's interesting to
Looking forward,
see.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, that should be a good evening. So that's next
Good.
Thursday, February 17th, 7 and 8 p.m. 502 West Euclid Avenue. Join us for that. Well, I've been thinking of this. We have, for quite a while now, we have been, talking about this issue. Not that everything we said was infallible, but we were on the right side of history, James. that I believe we can say, right?
Yeah,
Using
yeah.
Obama's language, we were on the right side of history.
Side of history.
And
Uh, mhm.
my point
Go
is,
ahead.
we've been praying and trying to stand for this, and it's like the Lord is answering these prayers. At least there is some movement of people. I would say it's not entirely consistent
I'd
and
agree
whatever,
with that.
but it's
Yeah,
like, you know what? Hey, things, maybe we are seeing a little bit of a turn. And
yeah,
that's, you know what? I'll say, praise the Lord. If it's a pastor, if it's a trucker, I wish this were,
yeah,
a true revival. I'm not saying that, but it is good to see people who are, at least on some level, being aware of what's going on. Lord willing, that leads to them, questioning the assumptions that they've held in other areas. That's
yeah,
what we can
yeah,
definitely pray for, opportunity to preach the gospel to
yeah,
those who need to hear. So
yeah.
I'll give you the final
Agreed.
word there, James.
Agreed. Um, two things. One, I do see a change, particularly in our area with mass mandates and whatnot. I do see that a lot of people are starting to push back now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's starting to cross the lines.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole Canada thing, I am looking forward to the March 1st. The truckers here.
Mm-hmm.
The only question is, Calvin, are we gonna fill up a bus and go to DC for a week and
Yeah.
bring gas to 'em? That's one. So that's one. I do like the direction it's going, but here's the second one. Keep an eye on inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye on inflation
Yeah.
because they I think. Listen, the globalists, they're evil. They're not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
think their fail-safe is to have an economic crash that will throw everything up in the air. I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting against myself,
Mm-hmm.
but we're far from out the woods. But I do like the direction we're going in,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows? Maybe some upheaval, maybe some strife is exactly what is needed for people, for our purposes, to ultimately turn to the Lord and to look
Amen.
for the kingdom that is coming.
Amen.
So,
Okay. Good
thank you
word there,
all.
friends. We'll see you next week at about 9 a.m., give or take a few minutes. Leave us a comment, question, and join us next Thursday, February 17th. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye.